Good morning, all of you. So we continue with module 5. So we will be finishing it this week and then I'll start with module number 6. So to learn about various fiber grating. So fiber grating is a new term that we are going to study. So what is fiber grating? You will understand, and actually why I require fiber grating. So fiber grating here is the concept. Okay, and this grater is used in many blocks in your fiber optic chain. Okay, so like to measure attenuation, we have had a monochromator or a fiber grater. Then if I'm designing a fiber filter, I'm adding, especially in multiplexer, when I'm adding the signal, demultiplexer, when I'm separating out the signal, everywhere I require grating operation. So what is actually grating? All of you might know the general meaning of the word grating. I grated the carrot. So something you are doing with an object, you are trying to change that scratching on that object, okay, and then you are trying to get some different result. So how do I write it on that fiber? The fiber is such a small component, okay, it's very thin, okay, so then how do I create grating on that? How do I induce some scratching on that fiber? Okay, and where it is used. Okay, so fiber grating, and I would again recommend, please prepare this topic from the book. In last time also this question was asked, and students, what is FBG? वो इंटरनेट पे जो भी गूगल में पहला मिला वो लिख दिया. It does not have any meaning to us. Okay, so please don't refer Google to write the answer. You have the slides, you have the notes, digitized notes also, so that you don't fidget in the handwritten notes. Please copy the right thing, even if you are using all the means at your end. Okay, so Google is actually creating a trouble for you to score well. Then we will study about Fabry-Perot filter. Okay, Fabry-Perot is the scientist who has designed actually laser, a type of laser. Okay, so also a filter. So right now we are studying as a Fabry-Perot filter. When we will study laser, at that time also we will study Fabry-Perot laser. So it is the name of the scientist. Then if time permits, we will study optical switches. Okay, so switches already you know, but what should be the property of an optical switches? What are the types of optical switches? Many types of optical switches are there. So I'll cover the principle and at least 1 or 2 optical switch. Rest optical switches are there in my notes. You can refer to it. It was actually never asked. A particular optical switch, usually a short note kind of thing about optical switches. So where you write down the general characteristic of an optical switches, and then you can name few optical switches. But to be on the safer side, I have included all the top optical switches, little brief intro in my notes. So the learning outcome of today's lecture will be, you will learn how grating is written into the fiber. Okay, so this is important. And from that, we will come to FBG, that is fiber Bragg's grating, where it is using the Bragg's diffraction formula. Bragg's diffraction formula is something you should have learned in your physics, either in first year or in grade 12. And then types and functions of optical switches. So this is what we intend to cover today. So what is grating? So grating have been widely used for centuries in optics to separate light into its constituent wavelengths. So why you require, first of all, grating? See, what happens is I have a single source of light. Okay, now see, I have the transmitter at our end. Okay, at the source end. So that does not, if I have 5 different customers, that does not mean that I will have 5 different source. Okay, it is not possible for that. So what I'll do, and I want multiplexing, okay, wavelength division multiplexing I want. So in a single strand, I want to send multiple information of multiple users. Okay, but I don't want multiple sources. The system becomes very costly. So what is our intention is, I have a single source of light, and with that single source, I will place something with that source of light so that I can separate that same light source into different wavelengths. Okay, so the method in which I do, one of the method is your fiber grating. So I simply play around with some structure after the laser source, so that either I change the velocity of the light, so that I can consider I delay one of the light source. Okay, so then same light source, remember that beam splitter was used. From the same light source, I could split the light into 2-3 paths. Okay, so I can increase the velocity of one path. I can increase the path length of one path. So in this way, I can create multiple signals. Okay, or I can separate that light into different wavelengths. Okay, and that way each wavelength I allocate it to different channel. So grating is to basically, in simplest words, to separate light into its constituent wavelength. Okay, so it is widely used in WDM, that is wavelength division multiplexing. So gratings are used as demultiplexers to separate the individual wavelength, or as multiplexers also to combine them. So fiber graters or the grating finds its wide application when we are designing the mux and demux for your wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, now another definition that is there in your book is the term grating is used to describe any device. Okay, it is not only that it is used in multiplexer, it can be used in a wide variety of device. Okay, so what is actually then the operation of a grater? Its operation involves interference among multiple optical signals originating with the same source but with different relative phase shift. Okay, so there in the first definition, we were talking in terms of wavelength. From a single light source, I'm dividing the light into its different constituent wavelength. Here, what we are trying to say is, I have the light from a single source and I will create interference, okay, so that it produces multiple signals, okay, but then there can be relative phase shift between those signals. So it looks as if it is all different signals. So how we will do this? We will see all those methods. Okay, so this is one of the example of grating, and this is particular topic is neither from the book of Senior nor from the book of Kizar. It is from another book. Okay, I'll tell you the name later on. It is there actually in my PPT where I have shared which book do you refer, because see, these are the components, and in the old syllabus, these components we used to study from a different book. Okay, so, and here when they made again the change in the syllabus, they included those components, but these components are not present properly neither in the books of Senior or Kizar, because Senior and Kizar focuses on fiber optics communication. And when I'm talking of all these components are a part of networking. So in next semester, if you select optical communication networking as an elective, then using a fiber grater, you will design a network, fiber network. So that is in the next semester. So I'll tell you the exact name of this book from where I have taken, but since I'm mentioning Senior Kizar, this is not from the book of Senior Kizar. Okay, so how do I write a grating? So this is one of the example. There are many methods. Okay, so suppose I have a transmission grating. So what is actually happening is, it is something big. I have light entering from one medium. Okay, so this is my angle of incidence. This dotted line is my angle, is my normal. Okay, and here is the second medium. So what I do, and its refractive index is different. So here I have a plane where I call it as the grating plane, where I have the varied refractive index. So I create slots like this in the second medium. So here the incident light, okay, suppose it is made up of multiple constituents of wavelength. Okay, if we don't have a light just operating at a single wavelength, we have a spectra of wavelength. So when it strikes the second boundary of the first and the second media, what this grating plane will do is, it will refract the light into its constituent wavelength. So I have lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, and so on. And here, suppose I have an imaging plane. So this imaging plane will capture light of constituent wavelength. So since this light was transmitted into the second medium, I call it as the transmission grating. A similar arrangement is called as reflection grating. Here also I have the grating plane, but here what is happening is the light, after separated into its constituent wavelength, is reflected into the same medium. And then I can capture all these individual wavelength component, and then I can do whatever I want to do with this separated signal. So since here the light was transmitted into the other medium, it was called as transmission grating, and this is called as reflection grating. So the concept is the light, single source separated into multiple wavelength. Okay, now where actually I use fiber grating? So important question from MCQ point of view. So either I can use it in a fiber filter. Okay, so in filter, we just studied the characteristic of a filter last lecture. So I can use fiber grating in a filter. I can use it in an add drop, as an add drop function. So if I want to add a particular wavelength, or in the journey ahead, if I want to drop a particular wavelength, then I can use fiber grater. Then as a compensating for accumulated dispersion in the system. Okay, then what is the advantage? It has low loss, ease of coupling with other fibers, polarization insensitivity, low temperature coefficient, and simple packaging. And it is an extremely low cost device, because within the fiber structure, actually, I am changing the refractive index. Okay. And there, when the light strikes that part, okay, it is separated into constituent wavelengths. Let us go deeper. Now, how grating is written in the fiber. Okay, how do I write gratings? Okay, so gratings are written in the fiber. Written means it is done on the fiber by making use of photosensitivity of certain types of optical fiber. A conventional silica fiber doped with germanium becomes extremely photosensitive. So what I do is I expose that part to ultraviolet light, and that causes the refractive index to change within the fiber. So exposing the fiber to an UV light will change the refractive index of the fiber. Now, a grating can be written in such a way in the fiber by exposing its core to two interfering UV beams. So one of the option was to use an external UV beam. So here we are telling two interfering UV beams. So this causes the radiation intensity to vary periodically along the length of the fiber. Now, where the intensity is high, now when I'm exposing the fiber to the UV radiation, okay, at some part the radiation intensity might be more, some part the radiation intensity might be less. That is, it depends on us how you want to design it. Now, what actually happens with the intensity? So when the intensity is high, the refractive index is increased, and where the intensity is low, the refractive index is unchanged. Okay, so varying the intensity of the UV beam, I can decide, like suppose my light is passing through the patch of fiber. I just will draw. Suppose ये मेरा fiber है. I have the core cladding inside and the light is proceeding. Suddenly, if I want this grating, okay, so what I can do is I can expose this patch of fiber. Okay, I can dope it accordingly, and then I will expose this part of fiber with an UV light. So what happens is, yahan pe the refractive index variation takes place. So that single light which might be entering this grater, it can be broken down into its different constituent wavelengths. So within that same structure of the fiber, I can grate the fiber. Okay, so it is just I remove the protective sleeves and I can expose the fiber to ultraviolet light. Okay, so this is not in the running chain you will do it. You will have a patch of fiber like this. Okay, because connectors and all will be there. And then you can do it. So we are actually not having an altogether different structure, but in the fiber, we can modify this part and make it work as a fiber grater. Now, by changing the reflective index, how much I can change the refractive index? So the change in refractive index needed to obtain grating is quite small. Now you might feel that core and cladding, the difference of refractive index is very small, even though the core has a higher refractive index. So here you can see around 10 raised to minus 4. Okay, so that much change is just required to create a fiber grater. The change is not so high. Okay, sometimes if you are even doing a calculation theoretically, we even neglect those terms, because see 10 raised to minus 4 change in the refractive index. 1.47 अगर मैंने लिया refractive index, that 10 raised to minus 4 sometimes will not be evident to us कि the refractive index has changed. But actually, when I talk about a practical thing, yes, that 10 raised to minus 4 change in refractive index will play a great thing. Now, the device which I have as a fiber grater is usually called as fiber Bragg grating, FBG. So in your fiber network, you have amplifiers, you have filters, you have multiplexers, you have FBG also. Okay, so this short note was asked last time, I think in the IA paper or IA2 paper, and I don't know what students did and from which book. None of this diagram, none of this explanation was there. And since you tend to copy from someone who has written it, mostly those who have attempted 90% wrote the wrong thing. Only few who remembered, like I still remember Minika wrote the correct answer, Saurabh wrote the correct answer. Okay, so I think in the end semester only, not IA. So please refer to the book or the notes. Notes are given to you. You give a Moodle review and all, yes, present and all, everything. The CRs usually give, and then you don't refer to Moodle. So that is also a challenge for the teachers. So how do we make you read the Moodle? Okay, the contents. Then let us see what is fiber Bragg grating. So in a fiber Bragg grating, what I am actually doing is my light is passing through the fiber. If I want to add some more wavelength, if I want to remove some more wavelength. So an FBG is denoted by like this, a dashed line, because here the refractive index is changing. So what actually an FBG consists of? It consists of a 3-port circulator with a fiber Bragg grating inside. So here you can see 4 constituent wavelengths are entering through port number 1. This circulator is passing on to this port number 2, all the 4 wavelength. Now, this FBG, what it is doing is, it is allowing only lambda 1, lambda 3, lambda 4 wavelength to pass through it. And this, it is not allowing lambda 2 wavelength to pass through itself. Okay. And that then where will lambda 2 wavelength, that signal will go. Okay, so that signal is then available at port number 3. So here in this journey, what I am doing is I am dropping off lambda 2 wavelength. Now suppose the 3 signals, lambda 1, lambda 3, lambda 4 continues its journey. Suppose at this part of communication, I don't require lambda 2 wavelength, so I have dropped it. But later on in the journey ahead, I need to add lambda 2 wavelength. So then you have already studied a coupler. Okay, so what this coupler will do is I can couple this signal along with lambda 3, lambda 4, lambda 1, and then again all those 4 combined signal is going. So a fiber Bragg grater is allowing you to drop the signal, and a coupler is allowing you to add the dropped signal. So this whole combination will form an FBG, and in multiplexer, you know, we require both of them. So अलग से coupler नहीं डालेंगे, अलग से FBG नहीं डालेंगे. We will have a combined device where I can have both these features. Then comes your Fabry-Perot filter. Okay, now what is a Fabry-Perot filter? A Fabry-Perot filter, it consists of a cavity formed by 2 highly reflective mirrors placed parallel to each other. So you have to understand what I am talking of. First of all, a Fabry-Perot cavity. See, your Fabry-Perot laser also is working on a cavity. Like I have this device. Okay, so here the light signal is passing on it. So here it is actually forming a cavity inside. Okay, so this is the fiber which is passing through this particular section. Okay, I call it as the laser source. So here, as the light is passing through this laser, the intensity is increasing. Okay, so and this is the cavity that is formed inside. So ye cavity may say the input signal as it crosses, okay, there is amplification. That's why laser produces more light compared to an LED. Okay, so I require to give some input, and also suppose if I don't want light to come out from this end of the laser, I want the light to come out only from one side of the laser, because that is how it will act as a source. So then I will put reflective mirrors over here. So multiple signal attenuation will take place. So as these electrons or photons, not electrons, photons strikes this mirror, what happens is they are reflected back, okay, and they actually come out in a multiplied way from one port, okay, one small opening in the cavity which I might have created. So there are two mirrors over here. यहाँ पे भी mirror है और यहाँ पे भी ये section में भी mirror है. Okay, why? Because I don't want light to come out from this side. Okay, so the light is reflected from here. It will turn back. It will come over here. It will reflect. It will come. Only the light which from this particular slot will come out. Here also the light which is striking, यहाँ पे mirror है, it will again reflect, it will come back, it will reflect. So actually what happens is this creates resonance inside, oscillation inside, feedback, positive feedback हो रहा है, no signal is lost. So here the signal strikes the mirror, it is fed back, it goes towards this side, again it is fed back over here. So it is something like a positive feedback, and you know positive feedback causes oscillation, and at one point of time there is resonance that happens. Okay, and during resonance what happens is we get the maximum output. Okay, so right now it is not a laser, it is a filter. Okay, so let us understand in terms of a filter, but I just wanted to explain there is a cavity and the signal strikes the other end, it is reflected back, again it comes over here, it reflects back, and this way the journey continues. So here what we have in this particular diagram is, okay, this is called as Fabry-Perot interferometer or Italian. Okay, but here we are calling, in physics they will call it as Fabry-Perot interferometer, but right now we in fiber optics we are calling it as fiber optics filter. Okay, so here is the cavity. यहाँ पे जो लिखा है, it is formed by it is a cavity formed by two highly reflective mirrors. So यहाँ पे the cavity is there and these are reflective mirrors. Okay, so this dash component is the reflective mirror. So as the input signal enters the cavity, what happens is it strikes the mirror, it is reflected back, it strikes the mirror, it is reflected back. Only a part of it is transmitted output. At the output, now these transmitted output, it adds in phase with each other, so the intensity increases. So the input light beam to the filter enters the first mirror at right angle to its surface. Here, this is right angle. It is not an inclined one. The output of the filter is the light beam leaving the second mirror. यहाँ पे दो component दिखाया है, but that aperture, no, actually it will be very small. Here, just to show different light component, they have drawn an expanded diagram, but actually if I consider the second phase, okay, it will come out from only one small patch, because looking at this you will feel कि यहाँ से भी निकल रहा है, यहाँ से भी निकल रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, it is not like that. So it is actually coming out from one single spot, but here different transmitted waves are shown which are in phase with each other. So let us understand again what in detail what actually happens. I'll show you one diagram, a video for this. The input signal is incident on the left side of the cavity. After one pass through the cavity, a part of light leaves the cavity. So a part of light leaves through that slot which is there on the right side, and a part is reflected back. From the mirror, it is reflected back. A part of the reflected wave is again reflected by the left faces to the right. Okay, so this way, it is that reflection continues. For those wavelength for which the cavity length is an integral multiple of half the wavelength in the cavity, this sentence is important. So that a round trip through the cavity is an integral multiple of wavelength. All the light waves transmitted through the right facet is this face, add in phase. Such wavelengths are called as the resonant wavelength of the cavity, and we get the maximum output at the resonant wavelength. So I'll just show you one video on interferometer principle. Okay. There is no sound as such in this video. So in this mirror, the light is reflected back. See, I have a single source over here. This beam splitter is dividing the light into this two path. And from this path, the signal is reflected back, and I am collimating the beam over here. I'll just play it again if you have missed it. Single light, I created two paths. This is a different arrangement actually, but just it explains the interferometer principle. So here you can see there was a blue and yellow light. This beam splitter, yellow idhar gaya, blue idhar gaya. It is reflected coming over here. Different phases are there. I have given a phase shift and I'm getting actually two different wavelengths. Okay, so I created a phase shift. I separated it into constituent wavelength, and from a single signal, I created actually two different signals. Okay, now another important component is in grating only, something called as AWG. Okay, so it is actually arrayed waveguide grating. So what happens is I have an input signal, so input couplers, and from here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signals are there. I'm not doing the slideshow because I have to show you again one video. So what happens is I call it as an input coupler. So this input coupler, here you can see so many paths are produced. Okay, so from this few signals, I am creating multiple signals. So that's why I'm calling it as arrayed waveguide. Now, how I am creating multiple signals? Here you can see the path length of all these signals. We have not drawn it straight. Okay, so little bit difference I have drawn over here. So means I am increasing the path length of these input signals through some mechanism, so that I actually have a different signal over here. And then I have multiple signals over here. Then again, if I require to get back my original signal, again, this output coupler will combine all these signals and I get the output signal over here. Now, what this arrayed waveguide is doing is, it is a generalization of the Mach-Zehnder interferometer. Now, what is Mach-Zehnder interferometer? That you need to know. Okay, so to explain arrayed waveguide grating, only from this particular diagram, in the book only this diagram is there. So they are actually increasing the path length. Now, AWG is using the principle of Mach-Zehnder interferometer, MZI. Now, what is MZI? I'll just show you one slide. Okay, and then I'll again show you a video. So what is happening in a Mach-Zehnder interferometer is I have a source over here. Again, I have a beam splitter. So what happens is this signal from the source is again splitted into two parts. Okay, so here the signal goes over here. This signal goes to this splitter again and it is appearing over here. So ye signal comes out the arrow and I collect that signal on a screen over here. This signal which was splitted, the second signal, I goes and I receive it at the screen. So actually what I am doing is I am changing the path length. Okay, here I can have a compensating cell if I feel that the path length is still not different. This compensating cell will do something so that the path length is different. Okay, so single light source, I have this 4 mirror combination. यहाँ पे भी 2 mirror है, यहाँ पे भी 2 mirror है. So these two are transmitting mirrors on both the ends. These two you can see are different colors is used, so it is deflecting only in one side. It is not allowing it to pass from this side. Okay, so using this 4 mirror combination, okay, and a single light source, I get multiple images. So what is written? Mach-Zehnder interferometer is a device used to determine the relative phase shift between two collimated beams derived by splitting light from a single light source. The interferometer has been used over here, among other things, to measure the phase shift between the two beams caused by a sample or a change in length of one of the paths. So interferometer, I just showed what is an interferometer. Let us now see the working of Mach-Zehnder interferometer. And then I will continue with your AVG again.
This is the Mach-Zehnder interferometer, what has been explained by Benjamin Schumacher in his TTC course of The Physics of the Microscopic World. In this interferometer, a light beam from a laser source is passing through a beam splitter. The beam splitter is a half-silvered mirror, which reflects 50% of light and transmits another 50% of light. It splits the light into two beams. The upper beam is reflected and the lower beam is transmitted. Both beams reach full silvered mirror fixed at two corners to reflect into another beam splitter, which is a half silvered mirror. There are two light detectors labeled A and B at both exits. As the lower beam is negative in amplitude and interferes with upper beam, the light beam always strikes detector A. No light beam strikes detector B. Let us see how this experiment goes in our lab. This is the laser light source producing red light with 650 nanometer wavelengths. This is the aperture to reduce the light intensity. This is the beam splitter of half silvered mirror, which reflects and transmits 50-50 lights. These full silvered mirrors, which are fixed at both corners, reflect the light with a phase shift of 1 pi. Finally, both light beams reach the second beam splitter of half silvered mirror, which reflects and transmits 50-50 lights. The combined light beam is expected to strike the detector A. When I set it up and turn on the laser light, the light beams reach both detectors. These are not combined and don't strike only detector A. I am able to see the lights strike both screens. I tried with perfect alignment of beam splitter, mirrors rotating beam splitters, and all possible ways. Still, light beams reach both screens and the result is not as expected. I googled it and found the reason for this behavior. The phase shift of light beam needs to be considered in order to understand this behavior. Dielectric beam splitter is the one we need to do the test which shows expected result. The light beam reflected by the front surface of dielectric beam splitter doesn't occur phase shift, but the light beam reflected by the back surface does occur phase shift. First, let us follow the upper light beam until it enters into the second beam splitter. In the beginning, it is transmitted by the first beam splitter and occurs no phase shift. Then it is reflected by the right full silvered mirror and occur phase shift of pi. Now the upper beam has phase shift of 1 pi. Next, let us follow the lower light beam until it enters into the second beam splitter. In the beginning, it is reflected by the first beam splitter and occurs no phase shift. The light beam reflected by the front surface of dielectric beam splitter doesn't occur phase shift. Then it is reflected one more time by the left full silvered mirror and occur phase shift of pi. Both beams are having phase shift of pi. If we follow the upper beam inside the second beam splitter, the upper beam is splitted by 50% reflected and 50% transmitted. The light beam reflected by the back surface does occur phase shift. Upper reflected occurs phase shift and upper transmitted occurs no phase shift. Remember that before entering into second beam splitter, the upper beam had phase shift of 1 pi. So the previous phase shift has been cancelled. Now the upper reflected occurs no phase shift and upper transmitted has phase shift of 1 pi. Next, let us follow the lower beam inside the second beam splitter. The second beam splitter splits the lower beam by 50% reflected and 50% transmitted. Remember that before entering into second beam splitter, the lower beam had phase shift of 1 pi. The light beam reflected by the front surface of dielectric beam splitter doesn't occur phase shift. Lower reflected beam occurs phase shift of pi and lower transmitted beam occurs phase shift of pi. So this is the situation at the end. If you see at the detector B side, the two beams are having different phases and generate destructive interference. And if you see at the detector A side, the two beams are having same phases and generate constructive interference. This is the reason the combined beam is expected to strike only the detector A. But this is what we are seeing in our test. The beams are reaching both detectors. The reason for this unexpected behavior is that the length of both upper and lower paths must be same to keep same phase in all time and location. But it is very difficult to us to keep same length at a nanometer level. So we are not able to see the beam strikes only detector A.
Actually, in NPTEL, if we are studying AWG and fiber Mach-Zehnder interferometer, they have all these equations also. So that professor was covering that, but you at least know this diagram, okay, and then you can explain how you can create the path length. Okay, so we don't have much equations and all to explain in our Mumbai University curriculum. So it is just the concept you should be knowing. Okay, so coming to AWG. So an AWG uses the principle of MZI, that is Mach-Zehnder interferometer. Okay, so AWG is a device where several copies of the same signal but shifted in phase by different amount are added together. Okay, so this is how or what is an AWG. So the AWG has several uses. It can be used as an n×1 wavelength multiplexer. The inverse of this function, that is 1×n wavelength demultiplexer, can also be performed using an AWG. See why all these components are necessary, because if you see in WDM, in your fiber optics communication networking, I require all these communications. Okay, so all these components. So they have included little, just like a brief introduction about all the components over here. We don't go into much deeper, but in the next semester, if I'm just picking up, yes, then I need to do the derivation. वो जो भी phase shift उन्होंने समझाया था, pi, 2 pi, in phase, out of phase, with the first mirror, second mirror, I need to do all those derivation because that will be a detailed study. So this subject then becomes a prerequisite to your OCA. Now, AWG has lower loss and flatter passband, and it is easier to realize on an integrated optic substrate. The input and output waveguides, the multiport couplers and array waveguide can all be fabricated on a single substrate. Next comes optical switches. Okay, now before I actually ask you optical switches, what is happening? The PPT is automatically getting closed today. Yes, I just want to ask you, I am now going to cover the next topic is optical switches. Okay, so you know what is a switch? Can you tell me what should be the characteristic of an optical switch? You know a switch. See, actually what happened is in your curriculum, to include or give you all aspects of VLSI, image processing, microwave and all, जो एक टेलीकॉम इंजीनियर को स्विचेस के बारे में नॉलेज होना चाहिए था, वो पूरा हट गया. Okay, see, if finally by doing all this you are running a telecom world. Okay, and in telecom world we cannot progress without a switch. Okay, a switch is an important aspect. You know, earlier telephone days used to be how it used to be. The operator used to manually connect the connection. Okay, then we had a Strowger exchange. Then we now have an electronic exchange. Okay, so our switch is getting modified. So without proper switching, my signal will not go ahead. But unfortunately, that entire switching is deleted from your syllabus only. Why? How? No idea, because all the people who did PhD or the syllabus setter, they wanted to fit in their domain into the syllabus, forgetting कि एक telecom engineer को switch के बारे में पूरा calculation होना चाहिए. See, when I talk about a switch, all of you face that there is no connection. Blocking होता है, call blocking. Not all 100% calls are routed through the network. Okay, because we don't have one channel allocated for one users. All of us know that. Okay, so that switching aspect, that calculation of blocking probability, okay, whether that switch is blocking or non-blocking, okay, so that all calculation is removed. But little bit, if you actually go into the telecommunication core, you need to know that. Okay, so now switch, all of us knows. I'm not asking you how that switching is done and all. In CCN also you might have done circuit switching, packet switching. I don't know whether you remember that or not, but that is also an important concept. Okay, so I'm not going to ask CCN in fiber optic network. Okay, I just want to ask कि ये जो switch है उसका characteristic क्या होना चाहिए? Optical switch का characteristic, some of the characteristic.
It should switch entire light from one fiber to another.
Who was that?
Ritik ma'am.
Okay, so what shall I type? Switch light from one fiber to another.
Yes, ma'am.
From one fiber to another. Then Saurabh, I think, has written in the chat, no loss. Yes, no loss means what? No loss of signal, or switch should have no loss? Saurabh? Saurabh has written no loss. So can you elaborate? No loss matlab kya? The switch itself should cause no loss, or if the signal is propagating through the switch, it should have no loss. No loss of signal. Okay. So if I combine both, when switching light from one fiber to another, okay, in between I have a switch, there should be no loss of signal. Yes. Next point. Yes, come on. All of us knows a switch. Switch का characteristic क्या होना चाहिए?
Insensitive to parameter variation.
हाँ?
Insensitive to physical parameter variation.
Yes, insensitive to what are those parameters?
Temperature, pressure.
Okay, light, temperature. So if I'm using a switch, the switch should not vary the out. Okay, the switch itself as a component, it should be insensitive to parameter variation. So it can be temperature. If temperature बढ़ गया, the switch should function normally. Pressure, if the pressure falls. Acha, Abdul is writing it is a child type. What is Abdul has written in the chat box? Some interesting points comes up when it is you answer. It connects multiple optic fibers to each other and controls data packet routing between input and output. Do you think this will happen? The second part, will it happen? It switch controls data packet routing between input and output. That means is your switch intelligent? Yes or no? Just say yes or no. Do you consider this will happen only when your switch is intelligent? Yes? Tell me yes or no. Abdul is telling now manually. Yes or no? Will your switch route the packet between input and output manually? Yes or no? Nobody has any answer. Okay. Any other points you want to say about a switch? How should your switch be? Switching ho gaya.
Switching speed should be high.
Switch should be?
Switching speed should be high.
Switching
delay should be less.
Switching speed high or response should be good. Switching speed high. Yes, somebody was telling something. Yes. Switching speed high. Anything else?
I'm switching delay less.
I cannot hear your voice. Yes. Please tell Rahul he's in the waiting room. He entered at 11:45. I will not allow him. I allowed somebody who still entered at 11:30, 40, but 45 ke baad I will not allow. You are just entering for attendance, and he has done it quite a number of times. And if I remove him, he cannot enter again in our next class. Yes, anybody else?
Hi, fan in.
Hi.
Fan in. Like n number of signal can be switched.
Okay, hi, fan in. Okay, good, good. Fan in or fan out?
Fan in, ma'am.
Okay. Saurabh is writing should have maximum optical power handling capacity. Okay. तुमने माइक्रो प्रोसेसर ये सब में बहुत बार स्विचिंग तो पढ़ा ही होगा ना? Any signal you are switching, anything else that comes out when you are transferring the signal through a device which is in between, that is switch. So one aspect of switch is considered कि the switch should be insensitive to parameter variation. वो switch के बारे में सोचो. These are okay. Its function is to switch light from one fiber to the another, multiple fibers or single fiber, and there should be no loss of signal. Okay, it should route the packet if required from input to output. Maximum optical power handling capacity. Anything with respect to the switch itself, वो अपने when I say no loss of signal means, I was asking this question, no loss of signal means switch is contributing to loss. That way you are trying to say, when you are saying no loss of signal, matlab switch as a component is introducing a loss. So there should be no loss of signal when I connect a switch in between. If you meant by that, मैंने switch बीच में डाला है, that's why there is loss of signal. Like Poonam ma'am is teaching OC, that's why I could not score in OC. Had Mr. XYZ taught the subject, I could have scored. Okay. So nobody is thinking that the student did not read, so he could not score. So is the factor switch or Poonam ma'am affecting something? So that is no loss of signal due to the switch itself. Have you considered, suppose power failure ho gaya, switch is an active device which requires a power to switch it on. If there is a power failure that happens in a network, main center pin, network outages ho gaya, then how should your switch behave? Please think in that term also. Agar power fail ho gaya, so entire communication should be disrupted because your signal is already transmitted through the fiber. Now it comes to the switch and switching is done. Agar switch turant hi band pad gaya, can you imagine? All the connection is disrupted. So suppose there is a power failure. So how do you want your switch to behave in that sense? In DSD, in microprocessor, have you heard about the term latch? Yes? Yes or no? Baba?
Yes, ma'am.
What is a latch? It holds the signal for some fraction of time. That is what is your latch. Okay. So right from DSD, we have been teaching you. So latches are used to make a switch. Okay. How I am doing the switching? These all flip-flops and latches are there. Okay. So in case of power failure, my switch should be able to latch that signal for a minimum amount of time. Okay, so that should also be one of the characteristics. मेरा switch ऐसा होना चाहिए कि if 100 customer is making a call at a time and my switch is supposed to switch. Switch is what? It is giving or connecting one user to the other user. So my switch should be able to assist all 100 customers to connect to their destination. Means when I'm talking of a switch, जब भी switch का word आए, okay, in telecommunication, one of the word which you cannot neglect is called as the blocking. If I have a blocking switch and my switch has the capacity of 50, I can handle 50 users. So the moment 51st user makes a call, one of the customer, the signal, they will say, "Aap isme ho, Qatar mein ho, and all you are in queue. Okay, wait for some time." So when I'm trying to design a switch, I should take into aspect the blocking aspect of a switch. Okay, so what is the probability of blocking? So an efficient design engineer will design or combine the signal in such a way that I reduce the blocking probability. Okay, but you know that there will be a blocking. I cannot have a switching facility which can take 100% customers and it can connect to the call. But yes, I try to reduce the blocking probability. So when I discuss a switch, I have to consider the blocking aspect of the switch. Okay, so with this, let me proceed to the slides which I have about the switch characteristic. What is the time right now? Okay, so it's almost 12:01. So, okay, I'll continue in the next class about the characteristic of a switch.